Blog Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to Mystic Records Radio. That was the Don't Know Anthem, and today's guest is Albee Sacramone of Don't Know, and it's so nice of you to join us, Albee.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Candace.
Well, you know, we've been doing this a long time.
Yeah. I'm in Ohio.
So, our listeners out there, you know, the majority of them are in their teens, 20s, early 30s, and you know they're really enjoying hearing from those of us who started back in the night days of dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I'd like you to clue our listeners in on how Don't Know got started and where you've played and recording with Mystic and so on and so forth.
Well, the band started probably about 1981. I met some guys that had a band called Static, and they needed a singer. And I kind of went up there and tried out, and they took me in, and then eventually some of those guys split, and then I started Don't Know, and with some new guys from Huntington Beach, and and then we got our start. And the Mystic thing, that was probably about 1982, 83, and I think Phil asked me if we would record with them, and I said of course, and I got to meet Doug and and then hang out in Mystic, and that was a great time, back in the heyday of the band, and I remember Doug used to actually we were all over 21, but Doug used to buy us beer, and we'd sit up in the studio, and he had a bar in there, and we would just all commune and drink, and I mean, it was a great times and great memories. He's a great man. He took care of us. Yeah.
Well, most teens drink. I mean, it was better than them sitting outside in the parking lot with a 40-ouncer getting it kicked out by the LAPD, and bashed in the head.
Yeah.
I mean, teens are going to drink.
Oh, yeah. No, they are, because that's actually, we used to do that, right? Like in the Mystic parking lot. Not Mystic, but the Cathay de Grande parking lot behind, yeah. And we'd sit there, and I got chased once by the LAPD, and they
Only
chased
one?
me right into. Yeah, well, just once that I wouldn't care to remember really, but they chased me right through Mystic and followed me down into the basement and then back up those back stairs.
Wow.
And and I went behind the bar like I was the bartender, and they must have recognized me, and they friggin' took me outside. But and Doug came out, not Doug, Mike Brennan, and said he was a good guy, and don't hurt him and shit like that.
Yeah.
Let me go.
Yeah, Mike Brennan was the owner of the Cathay de Grande.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's another good guy.
Oh yeah.
But I can remember being 17 years old and sitting in bars in Highland Park drinking at the 6-7-Eleven and places like that, and in New York, 18 it's legal to drink beer. At least it used to be, even back then, And I've always found it very hypocritical that our boys can be drafted right out of high school at 18, but on the West Coast they're not allowed to even get a beer. I mean, they can put a gun in their hand and make them die for their country, but they can't have a beer legally at home? Seriously?
Yeah.
No,
I know. It's crazy.
That's hardcore.
Yeah. No,
Seriously.
I know. I remember when I moved to California in '78, the drinking age was still 18. And they changed it somewhere in between me turning 18 and 21. And, I always thought it was crazy because Boston was 18, too, when I lived there. And, and then come out here, go to California, and it was 18. It was cool back then. But then they changed that in the midst of me before I was 21. But, I think that's crazy too. I mean, if you're capable to go overseas and fight for the country, you should be able to friggin' walk into a bar if you want to. I mean, it's just nuts.
I know. I agree with that too. And that was a lot of the problems that we had at the Cathay. Was people even inside, I mean, we carded people. We were very, very careful not to serve to minors, because, we're a bar, we're not a closed studio or anything, but, it was hard. I remember toward the end when LAPD was really hard on us, toward the end we had 2 violations for selling to minors, and we hadn't even sold it to them twice. I remember one time a girl picked up a drink that was sitting on a beer that was sitting on the bar and took a sip, and then that's what really hurt the Cathay, because we had the dollar nights. I mean, come on, 6 bands for $1. The only way we're going to make any money is off the bar.
Yeah.
Right. And that's how it is with most clubs,
Yeah, well, they actually put special attention on that place. I mean, they were fucked up to everybody there. I mean, it was never easy. I mean, leaving there, getting there, hanging out there. I mean, everybody used to hang out all over the place over there. And you had the liquor store down at the end of the street. Everybody used to walk over there. And, I remember a girl I used to know, she used to wear cargo pants. And back then she was under 21. And she used to load those cargo pants up with beer. And, and then walk in, and downstairs she would go, and, and that was everybody's beer. Her.
There you
go. It's hilarious, but that's what kids do. I mean, they make such a big deal out of kids doing what kids do. What the fuck? It is what the fuck they do. They do that shit. And then, like, it's such a freaking, like you killed your mother or something when they get caught doing it. I mean, they make such a big friggin' deal out of it.
Right, right.
but being in the bar business not a good idea, but it happens.
Well, we tried, but it became a no fun zone. We were having too much fun, so they closed us down. But then Dobbs went and opened up Raji's around the corner, and that did pretty well for quite a while too. I went and moved out of the LA area after that, though. I used to drive 2 hours just to get down to Raji's.
Yeah, no, I know. It was, Dobbs used to work the door back then, and it was kind of cool that he did that, and, we all used to go there. I mean, I've been there many times, and I don't think we ever played there, but I used to go there and hang out with them, and, I mean, it was like all familiar faces pretty much,
Yeah,
it just moved up the street.
Yeah. It would take me 2 hours to get there, and I remember one time Video Lewis wanted to film Tex and the Horseheads, and Dobbs wouldn't let him in. And it took me 2 hours to get there because I was living out in Lancaster, and it was a 2-hour drive from the desert out to Hollywood, I jumped in my truck, and I came right down, and I talked to Dobbs for about 2 minutes, and we were in the door, filming the show. But, my friendship with Dobbs goes before the Cathay de Grande. In 1977, he was my neighbor when I lived on Verdugo Road down there towards San Fernando Road. They call it the Glass Hill Park area. And he was a taxi cab driver there. And I think it was the Flower Leopards who were playing at his birthday party. He liked African-American women, so we made him a birthday cake with these big brown boobies, a boobie cake with brown frosting on it. And I do believe it was the Flower Leopards that were playing that night at his birthday party. It was fun. Well, that was when I got the stage upstairs, we upstairs was dying in downstairs was always so packed. I thought it would be a good idea to put another stage in up top, and Michael Brennan said, "Hey, yeah, let's do that." And then I got him to climb up in the attic and fix the lights so that the stage would have lights and everything. Did you ever get to play on the stairs stage?
Yeah, I played up there a few times. We played there on one of the last nights. I played up there a few times, but the one I remember is with the Mentors, and was one of the last shows at the club there.
That was the last show that I booked. And I was always so busy. I never got to get to watch many performances. A year before I worked there, when I went to college in 81, 82, I used to hang out there and enjoy the performances. But when I worked there was never a dull moment, I was always having to deal with something every second,
No, I remember. Mike, one time, I don't remember if he asked me or how it fell into play, but he put me behind the bar to, I think at that time we were just doing beer there, but I'm not positive, but he put me behind the bar, and I remember you friggin' eyeballing me by the door, across from the bar, just looking at me, making sure I wasn't
because I didn't know what the hell you were doing back there, but
Yeah. He was actually so good to us and so good to me.
He was.
That,
he was.
People might bitch about money and this and that, but that dude always friggin' broke money off to me, always.
Yeah.
And was always really good to me. He was always great to me. I never paid to get in there. I never paid for a beer.
I worked there.
Yeah.
But even when I didn't work there, I don't think I ever paid to get in, but I used to leave tips for the bartender and stuff,
Yeah, no, I hear you. I have only the fondest of memories of that place. That was like the punk rock clubhouse. It was just badass back then.
we had a lot of good fun, and we gave a lot of kids the initiative and the drive to want to do something with their life, to become musicians, to get up on stage and sing about the changes they want to see in their lives or in their neighborhoods, sing about whatever they want, We were free.
Yeah. Well, that was like the proving ground or the jump off point for a lot of bands. Being able to come, and it wasn't, and all you had to do was be somebody that people knew, or they saw you, or anything like that, and all you had to do was say, "Can I get on a show?" And it was never a problem. I mean, they just put you on. It was, it was very easy to get seen and start playing, and that would be the goal of every band that started out. They want to get out and do their thing, and it was never hard to do that there.
That's true. That's very true. I never turned down anybody to play, ever.
No.
Anybody who wanted to play, I gave them a chance.
Yeah, and these kids from Huntington Beach that used to just play in their garage, I don't even know if they asked me if they could play with us. And I think what it was that I saw them at a party, and I said, "Do you guys want to play at the Cathay de Grande?" And then they played with us a few times there. So when we played, I put them on with us, and it was never a problem for me to do that with anybody. I mean, I just say, "Can I get these guys with us?" And nobody ever said no to me.
Exactly. We appreciated you guys bringing other bands too, and we appreciated the fact that there were some bands like the Mentors that were always there with instruments, ready to play if somebody didn't show up,
Yeah, right.
Because we kept it flowing, I think, quite well.
Well, like you think about it, I mean, it was a great place to jump off at, a starting point for somebody. And it was a great place for the bands that had following and, could be there and headlining and pull in about 200 or 300 people in that place. And,
we really packed
and there's a lot of that. Yeah, oh, shit, I played there many times when it was like wall to wall. Like a sweatshop down there.
Downstairs, I liked the little fan right in front of that bar downstairs there. That was like my cooling off point.
Yeah.
That was the only way to cool off in there,
Oh, I know, right? That I remember. Oh my God.
But there weren't many arguments or fights in there. I mean, they called it the most dangerous nightclub, in the world or something, in a LA press conference or newspaper article, and it's like, we're just a bunch of kids having fun. I mean, I was over 21, but, we're just having fun,
Yeah.
We're not doing anything bad, we're enjoying the music and starting a scene.
Yeah, but back then, everybody knew each other, and we all followed the same thing. I'd see the same people everywhere there was things going on, like shows and whatnot. But what it was that you had a bunch of people, that knew each other and seen each other and were familiar with each other, and everybody policed themselves. There were never any fucking big problems there because they were always, the big guys were there to, kept everybody straight. There was nothing crazy going on there. Nobody ever got killed in that place. And, and everybody just had a good time and, and seen it through. I mean, it was never a place, and I've been to places like that where you walk in and immediately the battle starts, but I mean,
right.
That was not,
I've seen that at
knew each other.
Right, yeah. I've seen that at big festivals where right in front of the stage, people are just getting horribly bashed and bloodied, and even at a Youth Brigade concert up here in Chico, these kids busted glass, and this girl fell in it. And, I mean, she's bleeding all over the place and went sliding into Adam's drums, and it's like, oh, wow. I mean, I never saw anything at the cafe.
No,
that was,
no.
Yeah, and it was just a small little venue, Paradise something, I don't know. I filmed it. I cut out the part where she was bleeding, though, because I didn't think people seeing her. But Sean Stern made a remark. With the girl in the purple G-string, please refrain from diving into Adam's drums.
Oh, how funny.
I think
That's
it was
funny.
Yeah. That was pretty good.
Yeah.
So tell me about Mystic. What was it like, actually recording?
Well, I mean, it was easy. It was one of the, we did that in one day, what we did there, and I think one or two maybe. And what it was almost more like a live recording. Now, Philip worked the board then, and what we did was just come in and set up, and we were not separated. I think we were all in the same room, maybe except for me. And it was all mic'd and recorded live, and that's how it came. And the sound quality was fair, but the energy of it was right on, like the because with punk bands, it sounds so much better when it's recorded live. When you're,
it is.
When you're doing like we did the other record, Incite the Riot, on a 24-track, and we were all in separate rooms. And I like the Mystic recording better than that.
There you go.
That was overproduced. And what it was is just didn't come off the way I wanted it to come off. Like,
I've never heard that other album. I've never heard it, but I know you're on just about every album that compilation that Mystic's put out.
Yeah.
And tracks on your release that I recently did, those were remastered by Philco. He still does things for us, I do a lot of the ripping of the vinyl, making in the WAV files, and then taking it as far as I can, and then I hand it over to Philip, and Philco finishes it up. He's got that magic touch, Love you, Philip.
Yeah.
Well,
he's been doing that for so long. Yeah. Phil. Actually, Phil, really nice man, good guy. I mean,
he is. Yeah.
Because we went out to breakfast before we recorded, and he was easy to work with,
Yeah,
and,
he still is. Yeah.
Yeah, and the recording that we did with them is actually what I would have wanted, like that live recording, and that's perfect for us. And needless to say, that I wish that we had recorded, more like that, more records with Mystic. Because he asked me later on about doing an album, and we broke up shortly after that. And I wish that we had the oomph to do that, to move forward and do some more stuff. But,
well,
it's
that's
hard
going
to get
to
the
be...
guys to...
Go ahead, finish what you're saying.
Well, I was going to say that it's hard to get the guys all on the same page. We all live so far apart from each other now. And to get everybody on the same page and doing the same thing, it's like everybody's not on the same plane as far as getting things done, because I wanted to record a lot more stuff and do a lot more. But, what happened was we all got older, and families and jobs and all that other crap, gets in the way of doing
house
what you
payments,
want to do.
Car payments, sure.
Yeah, I know, right? Because if you're not living at your mom's house, everything's on a lot harder,
Right. That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
But we're making it a reality. Doug's teaching me his techniques of recording, and pretty soon here we're building a new studio, and Doug's going to teach me everything he knows about recording, and I'm just really super excited.
Yeah, you know what I would, if I had any advice to give, what I would say would be keep it simple. You know, once you start getting complicated with everything, with the big boards and everybody in different rooms and trying to,
I don't want to do all that.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. You know, the less is better. You know, in that case, you know, because the live recording is the most powerful of recordings. You know, and it just sounds better. It's more inclined to what we do. You know, and once you start thinking, you know, that you're going to be able to do what the big bands do, and you just muddle it up. I mean, it's better to just live record and keep it simple. You know.
I agree. Well, you know, even Ronnie James Dio recorded the same way. I grew up with a guy, Kelly Smith, and he worked for Niji Productions, Ronnie James Dio. And he told me to come down to the studio one day. It was the same studio where they recorded Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. And I'm all excited, you know, and he said, Dio's going to be there. I'll introduce you. And I'm thinking, oh, cool, you know. I'd never even seen the man before, you know, but I'd heard his music, of course. And you remember Craig that used to work the Cathay bouncer, great big, huge, 6-foot-plus guy? Was it Craig?
I probably
Craig?
do.
Big old guy. Anyway, he was at the door. And when Kelly and I got there, he looks at me and he says, well, you know, Candy, it's a good thing it's you with Kelly, he said, because anybody else would not be getting in. And I'm like, oh, cool. So anyway, we walked in, and this little guy with long, scraggly hair walks up to Kelly. He's got a 12-pack of Bud, and he says, hey, man, can I have a beer? And he gives him a beer. And then we continue walking to the booth, and he's nudging me. I go, what, stupid? And he goes, I told you I knew Dio. I go, that wasn't Ronnie James Dio, that little guy, that little shrimpy guy. I said, nah. He said, yeah. So we walk in the studio, and sure enough, there he is. But I was so impressed. I know. I was so impressed with the studio because here he is, and there's all these computers around, but yet behind the glass was a big stage, and all of the guys from Rough Cut were there recording, and it was just like you said. They're not all in separate booths. They were all together doing it and performing and getting the recordings going. So I thought that was pretty nice.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's actually like a really good sound, and that's what you get out of that. I always like that more than the overproduced shit. You know, when you hear somebody, you could tell the difference right away. And even people I've known through the years, when I hear their stuff, I'm like, you guys recorded that live, didn't you? And yep, you know, and I was like, that's so smart. Good for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, remember when we did the Cathay de Grande reunion back in 2012?
Yeah.
And videotaped in that big warehouse? The sound was great on those videos.
Oh, those kind of places you'll get the best sound out of because the reverberation on those, like a building like that, is just perfect for that, you know. And I thought right off Jump Street, boy, this sounds good. I mean, it sounded great.
It did.
Because,
it did.
You know, yeah.
And it was so fun seeing everybody again.
Oh, yeah. People I've seen, and I used to work with Billy Bones back in the early 80s. And, I mean, to see people I haven't seen in 20-something years, it was really cool.
Yeah, Mike Watt, Louis Mayorga, Circle One, Mike Vallejo. Oh gosh, so many, and like you said, Billy Bones, Steve. Let me see who else. Oh, Carlos Cataros. Can't forget. Good old Carlos.
Oh, yeah, Carlos, yeah.
He's kind of disappeared lately. I haven't heard from him too much. He used to call quite regular and keep in touch on Facebook. Haven't heard from him for a while. But boy,
yeah,
he was quite a guy. He bounced all the clubs and played with the Top Jimmy and the Rhythm Pigs, and then went off and did a solo thing. And I filmed him not too long ago. I think it was in 2013. Yeah, 2013. He was playing down there in Santa Monica at this little club, and I got right down in front, and I have this little tiny Canon. Oh, it was the same one that I filmed my Cathay reunion with. It's a little tiny Canon camera that fits in the palm of your hand, and if you sit in just the right spot, the sound is perfect.
Oh, yeah. How funny.
Love it.
Yeah, I remember him bouncing. I used to see him all the time at the cafe, and then I think left someplace in the valley after that.
Well, and he was playing at that show that you did in Highland Park. I think that was 2013 when I came and filmed you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Really cool.
I got a lot of still shots, but the video camera ran out of chip space.
Yeah. Oh boy. The where we were at when there was, you were there. Yeah, the shooting. Where they.
Oh yeah, when we were outside. Yeah, the drive-by shooting.
Yeah.
Good old Highland Park.
That was perfect, right? Because that's like it brings, all the memories come back, like the danger of everything.
Right. Yeah, it's like, well, we know we're back in the hood.
Yeah, that's right. Like a traveling road show.
I know. I'm just glad nobody was hurt.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I would have been fucked up, but I mean, it was all fun, though. I mean, it's just nice. It's another story to tell.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Oh, God. Yeah.
Well, I've got a Don't Know song here. Let's play this one for our listeners. And this one is called FSU. Can you imagine? What do you think that stands for, Albee?
Oh, I don't know. Friends.
Well,
I think it's
let's
fucked
find
it up
out.
is what it really is. Yeah.
I know. Here we go.
I know.
Ooh, la, la,
Yeah.
So I can see the pit swirling in my mind.
Yeah.
People really like that song.
Yeah. Well, that's one of my favorite ones. Yeah. There's a bunch, but I mean that's kind of one I really like. Been playing
that's what we titled your release.
Yeah. Yeah.
FSU by Don't Know.
Yeah. How funny. How funny. So how's everything going on your end? Everything good?
Everything's good, and if you want, we can play another one. I've got What Price for Freedom.
Oh, yeah. That's
all right, here we go.
One.
All right. Just for you, Albee. This goes out to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's the same as like Follow Me or Die. If you want to be free, follow me. It's good.
Yeah. 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 I really liked writing that. I wrote that, and I really liked the content of that. You know, I mean, I do. I mean, it's a test of the music. If you can listen to your own stuff and not be mortified to hear it, I mean, it's probably pretty good. Because I think I'm the more critical of my own stuff than I am probably anybody else's.
That's one of my favorite songs too.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I remember when we wrote that and put that together, and it was I really loved playing that. You know, I mean, that just really motivated me, that song, and people liked it. You know,
it's a good motivator. Doug was talking a while back about having people come on and sing along with certain songs that if they knew the lyrics, you know. it's like, well, that would kind of be fun, you know. Greg Ginn does the punk rock karaoke live in clubs, you know. I don't see why we couldn't do it on the air, you know. I could take certain tracks and remove the vocals and let people see if they can do it. But nobody can match your vocals. I would have a hard time removing your vocals because only Albee Sacramone can sing Don't Know.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. I don't know how I'd feel about if they tried to put one together without me. I mean, I don't know, you know. I'd probably, at this point, I'd probably be pretty excited about something like that. But, you know, the overall part of it would be like I'd have to go see it and see what it sounds like and this and that because, they all live out there and I'm here. But, you know, it's a hard thing to let go. I mean, you know, it's but the circumstances being what they are, I wish I could be back there and doing that, but right now it'd be pretty hard to do. But I mean, if we got some,
go ahead.
If we put some big stuff together, you know, and got on some big shows or something like that happened, you know, I would fly out there for sure. You know, I mean, it would be kind of cool. But it's getting everybody on the same page.
We are talking about building this studio up here and having like a private get-together this coming spring. And after we get everything set up, I have a 40 by 60 foot metal barn, kind of like that one that we did the Cathay reunion in 2012, and. The acoustics are good on it. It's on concrete. There's electricity in it. I've had a couple bands come and set up there and play, and I did like a private video shoot, and then we went and swam in the river and had fun and just made a day of it, you know, and we're thinking about doing that again this spring, having a couple bands come, you know. And, you're definitely invited if you guys can work it up. And, you know, we don't have a date planned or anything yet, but you know, it's something that we're thinking about, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I would be interested for sure. It's just getting it together, this hardest part, you know. Putting everybody on the same page and getting it going. But, you know, I mean, it's just one of those things that, you know, once everything's set in stone and everything's figured out, and then, you know, you have the conversation. You know, but that's what we would do.
Well, we have Doug Moody who's just joined us, and Doug, we're talking about Mystic Mountain and our plans for having the get together this spring and having a video shoot with the bands and all, and Albee's been talking about recording at Mystic. And what's your fondest memory of Don't Know in the studio at Mystic in Hollywood?
Hey, Albee.
Hi, buddy. How you doing, my friend?
I hear you still calling me Papa.
Yeah, hi, Papa.
Just because I reached 90 years old doesn't mean I'm still not a young punk like all of you, and I want to change the world so that we love each other and that we, teach the police how to behave like we did with copulation. Generally, I want to put a smile on everybody's face because Mystic was conceived to launch people, not to own them. We never signed a band under a contract. We signed an agreement with the members of a band to allow us to use the things they recorded and gave to us. Those songs that we have, we promote. We don't own anybody. We don't own a band. We love you, and you're part of Mystic forever, for as long as you want to be. But don't let people tell the wrong story about me. I do not sign anybody. We don't own any groups. Groups who come are part of the Mystic family, helping to launch other bands. We launch them. Got it?
Well,
Yeah.
Albee was talking earlier about the fact that the best recording he ever did was with you and Mystic, and the way everything just was perfect, because you did it live. You didn't separate everybody and do all this studio stuff. You got the raw form, and that's what's so special about the Mystic songs, because you did launch these bands. And they started off with these songs, and they're preserved forever, and it's wonderful. And Albee was talking about how much fun you guys had in the studio, and I wanted to hear from you. What is your favorite moments of recording with Don't Know?
Okay, when Albee became a police guard, I don't know if he remembers this, but one day we were recording a band, and I'm going to leave them nameless because they angered me. And all of a sudden, somebody said, well, the phone's ringing like crazy in your office. So I said, well, the answering machine will answer it. So they went to the office and said, you don't have an answering machine on your desk. I said, what? So we looked around the studio, and suddenly 2 or 3 microphones had disappeared off that we were setting up. And things were going out of the door of the studio. Then Albee comes running along, and he says, somebody's just stolen my leather black jacket. Was that right, Albee?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So Albee got mad and said, look, it's one of us. Somebody's in here emptying the studio. So with that, he went downstairs to the row of parked cars, and Albee was like a policeman. He opened doors and trunks, and he found all the stuff. We banned that band from ever coming back, and it was all on account of their drummer. We love the band. We love the people in the band. They are my dearest friends. But I swore I would never allow that drummer to come into my studio and steal from my friends. And Albee was the policeman that day. He was the guard dog of all, and he was angry. Boy, he wanted to tear that person apart, and we had to restrain him. We love you, Albee.
Albee's a big guy. I wouldn't want to tangle with him.
How funny.
Well, there you are. See, I can go back 30 years, and I can remember when I'm a little guy, but when I sit down, I'm 6'2". So I'm big when I'm big when I sit down. I'm a foot short in my body because my great grandfather, he was on stage, and he was one of those Sir somebody during the Victorian era, and he was a giant. He was 7'3", and he fell in love with the fairy princess, and they got married, and she was only like 4 feet. So our family is not deformed, but we've all suffered from being little people with huge chests. My uncles became jockeys, and they were frighteningly good at jockeys, and my uncle, who was on with the bomber crews, he says he was the only machine gunner who was comfortable and didn't have his knees under his chin. He said, thank God I'm a foot short. I was the only comfortable rear gunner on our Halifax bombers. So there are some good things come out of your forebears who go before you and make you up into what you are and your DNA. So I have to thank a 7'3" man falling in love with a 4-foot woman for my kind of stature. I'm okay, and I'm strong enough, but I'll always be short amongst you. But when I sit down, I'm taller than you. So that's how I make my beers. When I go into a bar, I challenge these big, tall Marines. Hey, sit down. I'll be taller than you when we sit down. No, you won't. Bet your beer, and I get my free beer.
There you go. All right.
You're the best.
Very
I
good.
do love you.
Well, I'm really looking
Go
forward.
ahead. Lead me where you want to go. Take this show. It's your show. It's your record company. I'm the launching. I've helped build platforms to launch people. And the more people we launch, and like Albee's been with us 30-odd years. I think it's 30, Albee, but I might be short a few years. But Albee's been with us, and he's like part of my family that I don't have. I have the biggest family in the world. Out of the blue, they call up and tell me, I met you, or I did this, or you did that. And I get a flood of memories. I want to tell you, one of the proudest things I ever did was forming Mystic Records because, they didn't have a place to put their record. You remember F Street and all the gang? What was the guy?
F Troop.
Yeah, they all came in the studio with who?
Ginhan, Roger Rogerson.
Roger Rogerson. Roger bought in the 70s, he bought all the Long Beach crowd into the studio, and he had a record company that was going to launch. After they heard all this punk music, they got scared and didn't want to put it out. Now, I just recorded the What's Name Family, Youth Brigade, and I'd recorded Aggression and Battalion of Saints. I just finished doing all these people for Better Youth organization, and I launched Better Youth. I spent $9,000 recording and launching the Better Youth record company. Then all of a sudden, Better Youth decided they didn't want all these unknown bands cluttering up their label. They wanted people who could sell tickets, which is okay. That's when you start a record company, you're supposed to be able to sell records. Well, I had sold millions, and I knew that was not the answer to having a real record company. A real record company was not there to sell millions, because nobody needs you when a record sells a million. There's hundreds and hundreds of people working to sell that million records. So you just fly on the spec. So I wanted to be the record company that didn't sell millions, but sold records to people who wanted to change the world and who wanted to live with each other in the world. And so we launched Mystic Records on account of the Long Beach band that had no home and no record to put out on, so we launched it. Also, the funniest thing about that record was it was pressed at a pressing plant that had no roof. The glass roof had given away over the years.
Oh, yeah, you told me about that, yeah. And when it rained, it leaked.
We pressed the records under Cinzano big umbrellas that we borrowed from someplace, and we pressed the record under these umbrellas, and Richard Simpson was there. He was a young guy doing mastering, and he can tell you the whole story of us pressing records in the rain, and the first couple of hundred records didn't even have proper covers. We pasted a black and white cover over some Mexican album jackets that we found at the plant. So the first 100 or so of Don't Argue with Success, Roger's group, the first ones we got out had been pressed in the rain and made in jackets that we pasted black and white pictures over that were taken by that famous photographer. You remember him?
Edward
Culver?
Culver. Guy, how could I forget Ed Culver?
Culver. Yeah,
Ed Culver. Great guy.
Yeah. So he took pictures of bums sleeping in our alleyway next to the studio. So Roger wanted a record called "You Can't Argue with Success." SUCK. Success. So we made him the cover, we made him the record, and Roger was so happy that he had launched, and he was the lightning rod or the factor that caused me to start Mystic Records and launch Unknowns. That's where it all started from. Although I had been launching Unknowns 50 years before, I had been launching black people when it was uncommon for a white producer to go in and record black people. And in those days, I had million sellers that never were on the charts. I had a lady called Mahalia Jackson, and we wrote a song called No Matter How You Pray, and we sold 1 million, and she was never on any charts. And then I sold 5.25 million with the 5 Satins. In the Still of the Night, sold 5.25 million, was never on the charts. So I'm used to launching unknowns, and I'm a sort of a daredevil in the record business. I'll do things that other people won't do, and that's Mystic. It will now be coming with inviting you guys, and I hope Albee will do this. We're going to have Punkaroke. Tell them about
Who wants
Punkaroke.
to do the Punkaroke? Well, after this
Yeah.
next song. All right. Big time. Well, you know, back to the punk karaoke, Albee and I were talking about it a little while ago, and yeah, I was thinking, you know, songs like FSU that people know the words to and they're pretty easy would be fun to do on the radio here.
Yeah. That's something different. It would be fun, wouldn't it?
It would be, yeah. It definitely would be.
Yeah, I would listen. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, you know, somebody trying to sing your song or sing somebody's song or whatever, and just, you know how everybody thinks they could do that stuff. Just give it a shot, dude. Just go.
I know, right? And if we don't
Yeah.
like it, we could always erase it, but it would be fun to do. And then people from all over could join in and and sing. I mean, they could be in different states and all call in and be on the same platform and hear the music and use the phone as a microphone and just karaoke right along with it, you know?
Yeah. No, I know. That'd be cool. You know, I want to bring one thing up with the you know, when that happened at Doug's studio, how I felt back then was that this guy was good to us, you know, and what happened was it bothered me that somebody would act like that and would steal from a guy like him, and it bothered me. Not to mention taking my jacket. So, and I acted, you know, how I would act, period, with anybody that I cared for or had a feeling for. And with that, I mean, it's like, you know, I just was offended that somebody that I knew was stealing shit. And then, you know, and then have the balls to steal my fucking jacket, too. You know, not to mention that. So,
don't mess with Albee. Don't mess with Albee. When you make him mad, you got to deal with it.
Well, it bothered me more that they were stealing your shit, too. I didn't like that, you know? But,
well,
you know,
all I want to say is I had marvelous times at Mystic. We all got a little drunk now and again, and we recorded, but we loved each other. We loved what we were doing, and if I had a studio, I'd throw it open and say, just come in and record. So, you know, my heart is still with launching, and Candace is teaching me how to live with the Internet. Well, you have never seen a tiger fight until you cross Candy. Oh, my God, she took on Sony this month. Sony decided they wanted to take the Happy Organ, which was a million-selling record for me. It's called Mama's Little Baby Loves Shortening Bread. And we had an organ.
No. That was over the... That was over the Happy Organ and
yes, it was over
Records.
the Happy Organ. They tried to steal our million seller, and then they tried to steal Dickie Lee, who we have had 7 million selling songs with Dickie Lee, country music. We started a label called Horseshoe to launch country western artists or relaunch them. We've got million sellers with country artists. So Mystic now has a country label. In future, it's going to have a jazz label. In future, it's also going to do classics. I have done all of these million sellers. I have 53 gold and platinum records from selling million sellers. We're going to round them all up and put them in charge of my cowgirl. She's going to sheriff the whole damn lot, and woe betide anybody that gets in the way that says we do not own million-selling records, and we're going to take the income from those million sellers and launch more unknowns. Is that right, baby doll? Hey?
And yes, and we're adding new groups daily. I have a hard time keeping up with it. Sometimes I need an
keep up with
assistant.
you. I just let go the reins. We go where you go, baby.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I have to admit, I surprised myself that with SME, Sony Music Entertainment, that I was able to stop what they were trying to do. And I don't want no trouble with those big boys because, you know, they got deep pockets. But I showed them that we are a force to be reckoned with, and we will stand our ground. You know, just like Albee stood his ground in the studio. You know, it's the same thing. You have to stand your ground. You can't let anybody take from you without reaping the wrath of your stand. You know, that you're always going to do the right thing. And it's just a matter of doing the right thing. There's so many companies out there trying to take from Mystic continuously. I have continuous legal battles, and I've learned quite a lot about the legalities of how to take care of these matters. So, anyway, moving right along before I start getting
I just want to say one thing here, darling,
trouble.
because I just want to stress something. Mystic used to be able to pay for its way years and years ago because we had enough money coming in from old million sellers that we could afford to spend. We spent $250,000 as a gift to unknown bands. $250,000 was spent launching. Now, this past year, we've launched some 60 bands, and we have lost $20,000 doing launching. So it's very much more difficult for us now.
It is.
And do you know that Candace is a volunteer? She doesn't take money from Mystic to do all this work. She earns her dollars, and I don't have a salary from Mystic. None of us are taking money, so
we're not
contrary to no, it may take me 2 or 3 years to recover that 20,000 that we're launching with unknowns, but we're going to keep doing it because we love what we're doing, and we are the only company in the world that launches unknowns. And when you get to have a name, just occasionally, and this is reaching out to people like NoFX and Bad Religion, once in a while, help an unknown band, damn it. You've got the power, you've got the money. We helped you when you look at it. Bad Religion was an acoustic band when we recorded them, and I say acoustic is going back. All over Europe, there are cafe music where non-amplified music is being played. So if we start putting out acoustic punk, don't shudder. It's possible that Mystic may start putting out cafe punk, which means no amps. Okay? Bye.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hear another Don't Know song. Let me see. What have I got here? Do you want to hear Born to Kill or It Takes Stand? Let's see.
Kill I like.
What's that?
Born to Kill I like.
All right.
Born to Kill.
Yeah. Sing along, Albee.
So many worlds in search of death, this brother of revenge to remember again. Conflict power, burst of a dream, held back empty with the master machine. Hey, style, rising to the moon. Reach out there, my soon.
So I'm curious, Doug, how did you and Albee meet?
Well, I'm looking at May 15 at the Cathay de Grande. It says $1 admission, and it says meet, don't know. So do you remember? being at this, and it says, along with Don't Know, what you'll meet Don't Know, there is R.I.P., Stookers Over Bedrock, and he's shorter than I am, Little Stookers Over the Bedrock, Entropy, and Pledge No Allegiance. So now, how do I meet people? I go to clubs, and we have a couple of beers, and the next thing you know is you know, would you like to record? Would you like this or that? And so for $1, which they never charged me at the Cathay de Grande, and we used to run telephone wires down the street and record the bands over telephone wires. Well, in my feeling, I met Don't Know at the Cathay de Grande, and I met you at the Cathay de Grande because
That's
you
right.
were booking the bands, and you were trying to manage El Duce. Now, that's the wildest one ever. It's like having a huge donkey, a warlike donkey, by holding it with the tail and hanging on. El Duce was one of my favorites, and when he first came to Hollywood, he played with Don't Know at the Cathay de Grande, and you came out of the blue, say, 5 years ago and said to me, Dougie, you recorded everything in Hollywood, and I filmed everything in Hollywood. Why don't we get back together and start putting it out? So here's where we started, 5, 7 years ago or something? I lose track, darling. So
it's been about 6, 7 years.
You came along, and at the same time when you came along, Don't Know was appearing at some place where they fired guns outside.
Oh,
Do you remember that?
Yeah, that was in 2013. I'd already been volunteering for you for a while. And, that was that show in Highland
you
Park.
rounded me up, and I drove all the way from down here up there to go and see Don't Know again. And that's when I saw him with you.
And I took an airline flight down.
Yeah. So I don't often see Albee. You know, maybe 10 years could be in between. But it's as instant as if it was yesterday. I love Albee. Albee's been with me, I would say, 30 years, and he treats me with such, kindness, and I always know that I've got a big brother, or a big son, I should say.
He's a big guy.
Having Albee in your life is like having a blessing. That's all I can tell you.
Albee's a great guy. You're a great guy, Albee. We all love you.
Thank you.
You're so respectful and kind, and you got some big muscles, boy. How tall are you anyway?
I'm short, honey. I used to be tall when I was younger, but I think I'm about 5'8" now.
No way. I thought you were at least 6 foot. You look like a giant because all those big muscles bulging. Sorry.
So good
you were always a good-looking guy.
Hey, I'm only 5'3".
You were always a good-looking guy too. Hey, you know what? At one time, we were all some fine-looking people, right?
Yeah, right. I know.
And we're just like a bottle of wine. We just get better with age.
Oh boy, there she goes. Well, I can see this night is going to end up with a party, champagne and partying.
And caviar. You sent me some caviar. I got some. Oh, that's so good.
I got a Christmas tree from you today, one that I can plant.
Isn't that sweet?
Yeah. Listen, my phone's beeping, which means
I can hear
I'm running out of battery. I want to say goodbye decently. I don't want to be just shut down and not be there when you talk to me. I love you guys. I love what we're doing, and just help me reach 100 because I'd love to celebrate. I'm 90 years old now, and I've been doing this for 50-odd years. I came here in 1953 and started, putting out Unknowns. So help me through the next few years, and we'll find out what's going to be. I hope Cathay will return, and maybe not amplified music. Maybe we'll get some kind of music that we can all have at home and in the living room. But I'm all for us having a punk week. She's going to let us have 40 acres, and we can have a Woodstock up on her property and invite people from all over the world and have a week of punk up there. And it would be sensational to have it next year or the next year after
well,
that.
This spring we're gonna have a private get together to launch Mystic Mountain, and it's not gonna be but by invite only, and the bands can come with their families and camp out and swim in the river, and we'll barbecue and we'll play music and we'll just have a really good weekend.
I love the thought of it. I love the sound of it. God willing, I'll be with you. And
yes, you will.
I just thank you so much for helping me continue the decision I made in the 1970s to launch punk music. So it's been a blessing to me, the people that have come into my life. It's a blessing to me that Candace suddenly stopped one day and just decided she wanted to reach out to Doug Moody. And, I'm telling you, she's teaching me how to use the computer. I'm going to be dangerous next year. I'm really going to be dangerous. I'm going to be on the computer with videos.
Well, you're also a photographer, and I'm going to put a nice Nikon in your hand to take photos while I'm filming.
Okay, so I always said I didn't mind becoming Cecil B. D. Moody.
There you go.
There you go.
Take care. I'm gonna take a rest, you guys, because I've dominated the phone. Love you, Albee, and Madam, you can steer me through this wilderness that we're in. You can steer me every time, but my head is to the grindstone. I want new unknown bands coming out, and I want those unknown bands to do famous songs and salute the 50s, salute the blues, salute jazz. I don't care what they do as long as they salute past music, and we let the punks hear what kind of music we grew up with. Okay?
Yeah. That would be really fun. I really enjoyed working on Dickie Lee's 1960 pop album of his pop hits, because those are all those fun songs, that we all grew up with. And even Richie Goddard with the song "I Want Candy." And Joan Jett went and did "Crimson and Clover" from Tommy James and the Shondells. My gosh, I went to college with Peter Lucia, the drummer of that band from the 50s. I'm kind of dating myself, but it would be really fun to have punk rock redoing some of the older pop songs.
In punk style.
Like Joan Jett did.
In punk style.
She made it punk.
Yeah, that's what we want to do, is bring back the 50s, the rock and roll of the 50s, but do it punk like. Yeah.
I can see I can picture Albee singing that old Joe Turner song "Shake, Rattle, and Roll" with his deep raspy voice, huh?
Challenge, Albee, she's challenging you. Watch out, she's devious.
Hey, check this out, Albee. I could rip the lyrics off the vocals off the old Joe Turner song, play it on the radio, and you could sing karaoke.
Oh, how funny. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Well, look, guys, I'm going to leave you because my phone's beeping. I love you dearly. Thank you for being a part of this world that we love to be in so much and giving us a chance to speak. I love being close to all of you and sharing the times that we do, and it's frequent that I just say, thank God I started Mystic, because it's brought me the happiest days of my life. Thank you, friends. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Thank you, buddy.
Right, right.
He's done a lot for the industry. All right. Talk to you soon. What a great guy.
Yeah.
And you know he's got so much more that he wants to do, and it's just amazing. But you know I've got time for one more Don't Know song. What do you think, Albee?
Yeah, sure.
Is your phone going to run out of time too?
No, I think I'm good for a little bit.
All right. Well, we got one more Don't Know song, and then we'll go from there. was really fun having Doug Moody on, and what a great guy he is, and you know, him and Richie Goddard go way back. He's a songwriter. Goddard, Goldstein, and Feldman. They were the Strange Loves. they performed under several different band names, and Richie, I've gotten to know him through Doug quite well, and he built the platform for music to become digital. He invented it.
Oh.
He received the Visionary Award for that, and being that he wrote the song "I Want Candy," I had to comment one time, and he said, "Well, you know, for all that you've done for Mystic and Doug Moody," he said, "I give you the rights to re-record that song with any band you want." And I've been trying to get somebody to do it, you know, because it's like, man, I love that song, and you know, he gave me the you know, the intellectual property rights to do it, and I'm just yet to have anybody do it.
Yeah.
But who was that else that did that song recently?
Bow Wow Wow.
That's it, Bow Wow Wow. I love the way they did it. That was really cool. And they did quite well, and they made it punkish.
Yeah.
More like new wave back in that day, you know. It was more like new wave, you know.
Right.
When we would leave the Cathay and would go down to the 7 Seas, we'd make our arms motion like we were swimming, and we're saying, we're swimming to the 7 Seas.
Yeah. How funny. Yeah.
That was that little tiny club right across from the Grauman's Chinese on Hollywood Boulevard. I don't know if you ever got a chance to go there. It was pretty fun. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember it. I remember it well.
I remember there was a girl who... Go ahead.
Yeah, no, we used to hang out there in the back in the parking lot.
Oh, the parking lot.
Yeah.
I never went to the parking lot, but I don't know. I have to admit, I've snuck a bottle in my jacket before. Those big leather jackets we wore all the time. Well, I still got mine, but the inside pocket fits a half pint of booze real easy.
Yeah, how funny. That's funny.
Nowadays they really shake you down, but back in the day they didn't.
No,
so we're winding down to the end of the show here.
Wow.
It's
that was
been really
quick.
fun.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, thank you, Albee. Thank you for sharing your stories, and I love your music. I noticed that some of these tracks got a little bit cut off. I don't know why. Maybe it's the soundboard here. I'll have to play them in a little bit and see if they do that on the files that I've got, because some of them just ended a little bit too abruptly. That master you sent me, is that the only one you have of that?
Yeah, pretty much. If I had
I'll have to get another one back to you.
Yeah, because I'd have to just put it together and dig it up, kind of thing. I think I have all that, but I'd have to look.
I got to warn you, we're down to 20 seconds, so we got to say goodbye. And it was nice having
all
you.
right.
And don't forget to party to home. And we'll do some again, too.
Yeah. Valhalla. Bye, Eddie.
That's right.
See ya.
That's right. Later, dude. Love you, Albee.
Later.
Bye-bye.
Love you, too. Bye-bye, dear.
All right, thanks. Party to go home.